Well, thanks for tuning into the market wrap. I'm Niraj Shah with Nickey Mirchandani, and it was not a bad day of trade, you would have to say. Nifty Bank is now at the highest level since February. The small cap index is at the highest level since September 2018. So the rally is broadening. It's not restricted to those 15, 20 Nifty names. And the broadening rally is gaining more steam, which is actually a good sign. We'll talk about all of that in a bit. First, the index and what did it do? Admit it did precious little, about 0.5% or thereabouts for the Nifty. And despite HDFC Bank, Kotak, and some of the others coming off, I think led by ICICI Bank, it didn't have as bad a day the Nifty Bank either. We'll talk about that. So first, the Nifty 0.7% higher. Look at the gainers. Airtel has put on some special show in the last three sessions. It was up about 2.5% in Friday's trade, up another 3% today. That one did well. UPL, and I think PI Industries briefly overtook UPL as the as the highest stock by market cap in the chemical and specialty chemical space. UPL has probably reclaimed it back. Adani Ports had some massive upgrades today, and I think that stock did well as a result of that. Maybe Nikhil will talk about that. Coal India, HDFC were some of the others, and ITC crossed the 200 mark too. By the way, Pharma had a very special day, I must say. While not large gains, but Reddy, Sun, Glenmark, all of them did well. What didn't do well? SBI Life corrected a little bit, Nestle a little bit. Very, very small losses that came into most stocks. The culprits were those two, HDFC Bank and Kotak Bank, which kind of spoiled the party a bit. And commodities came under a little bit of pressure in the session today. Nikki Johnson to speak about all of that. And well, on Friday, I think we spoke about Ultratech Cement. That stock is in the red today, but Nikki stood out in the session today.
Yeah, clearly Adani Ports and SEZ, because there was an con call also which was held from the group overall, and they've revamped the strategies a little bit and outline what they're expecting in some point of time, the future outlook. On back of that, you've seen a strong traction building in on this counter. Jeffries came up with a report. Of course, the brokerage has a buy rating on the counter and the target price of 375. Said that the group was now moving from a B2C business pattern to B2B. It said that the group is moving incrementally investments in the airports and the data centers. And Adani Green, of course, that company could be, the scale of the game changer coming in for the entire group, because there is this 10 gigawatts renewable energy capacity at one point of time, which can ensure economies of scale for Adani Green. And of course, the group at this point of time is looking to maximize its ROE, which is the top priority. But also, what will be important and would be a key re-rating criteria overall for the group will be the reducing promoter pledges. As and when that happens, of course, you would see a further rally building into the stock. On back of that, a smart up move coming in for Adani Ports and SEZ. But then, notably, I'd like to highlight 2 or 3 points here. The company has today, the stock rather, has scaled its record high, and it has rallied for 8 out of 10 trading session. Overall, in this 8th session, it has rallied around 25 odd percent. So that's a big move coming in from the counter.
What about the mid caps is the key thing. Let's bring up the mid cap picture and show you what's happening in that side of the market as well. I think once again, the market breadth looked pretty optimistic. 364 advancing to 135 declining. Look at the list of gainers. Sterling Wilson Solar about 16% higher. But that notwithstanding, the hotel companies, Lemon Tree, Chalet, and down below some of the others too did really well for themselves. So good going really for those names. I think travel related, all companies did well. I'm not saying shipping corporation is that, but I did notice that IRCTC had fairly decent outing to about 7.5% higher. Rain Industries and Ujjivan gained some little bit gains in the session today. So those are the winners. Amongst the losers, Granules India, and the stock has been at the forefront of some rumors around a potential deal. I think today, just the volumes with which the stock has corrected seems that if indeed it went up on the back of a possible deal, it's come off because maybe somebody in the knowing would have had some other opinion. There's no other reason for such high volumes and such a price action on a day when pharma has actually done well. So Granules a key culprit today. Adani Green about 2% lower. Tata Steel BSL corrected a little bit in the session because that was also on account of how some of the other commodity stocks did in the session today. So that's the long and short of what happened to the larger space. Anything which stood out, Nikki?
Yeah, textiles. Textile stocks clearly had a good inning today, if you see for the trade. But what I have picked up is Vardhman Textile, where the stock rose for almost fifth consecutive session. It's rallied 14% in the last few sessions, and today, it rose to the highest that we've seen since March 2020. Systematically, the promoter has been picking up stake. That's the trend which has been playing out since November to 2020. Overall, in the 12 transaction that the promoter group, that's Vardhman Holding, that has conducted right since November 2nd, it's picked up close to around 0.15% stake from the last that we've seen in September 20 ended quarter, where it stood around 26.73%. At this point of time, it's around 27.88%, which in itself, is a substantial uptick coming in from from the promoter point of view. So of course, building in on that kind of up move, or the outlook that the promoter has been hiking its stake, has led to a significant momentum coming in for the counter. What also did well, Neeraj, is NMDC. The stock continued to be in focus for seventh consecutive session now. The central government on a Thursday, Friday, there was a development which said that central government has finally come in with an agreement with the Karnataka government and extended the Onimalai lease agreement. At least that uncertainty is behind the company right now, which has been for long figuring out, when the Karnataka government and central government both will finally have a consensus coming in. Although this was on expected line, because back in Wednesday also you saw an approval coming in from Karnataka state government for restarting mines. But then the key moot point now would be whether or not the company would continue to pay 22.5% premium in the interim, because we don't know at this point of time what the both. I mean, central government is also expecting the company to pay that additional premium is something that needs to be seen. So of course that will be the moot point. But of course, seven consecutive session rally and a strong show coming in for metal companies, not just metal companies and NMDC particularly. But I'm going to bounce it back to you and ask you if anything particular that you're eyeing or would be keeping an eye out for the next trading session.
Yeah, well, consecutive gains seems to be the order of the day, isn't it? We've seen that in Tata Chemicals, we're seeing it in NMDC, so strong shows, yes. But I think the trade takeaways today seem to my mind, actually, seem to suggest that while Bank Nifty was quiet and took a breather, there is a bit of a sector rotation at play today. Pharma stocks gain a second day on a trot, and I think the optimism comes in from the belief that the US side of the business will improve, which is what I think came out in the brokerage notes for Glenmark today, and which is why probably Reddy, Sun, and everybody which has got this US exposure did reasonably okay. And dealer desks seem to suggest that flows are seen in select mid-sized NBFCs. I think we saw some evidence of that in the way Shriram Transport Finance or some of the others rallied today. Interesting to see how they do in the sessions to come. Before we wrap up, Nikki, how's the global picture looking?
Well, European stock markets are trading pretty much negative at this point of time, mostly negative, I would say. The focus has continued in the region on the last ditch effort between UK and EU to reach a post-Brexit deal. That's something which has actually taken a center stage right now. But if you look at the US stock futures, they're pretty much, indicating towards a positive start. So it's a mixed picture coming in of sorts from the global front right now, where European markets are trading mixed and US markets are trading in positive. But with this, it's a wrap, and thank you so much for watching.